let me go ahead and get started then. Bringing this meeting to order in accordance with the governor's disaster declaration and suspension of certain aspects of the Open Meetings Act. This meeting is being held virtually via Zoom. The public was invited to provide input via email before the meeting. The Zoom information was published with the agenda, so members of the public may attend the meeting virtually and provide input. Okay, let's start out with roll call.
All right.
Stacey
Patricia?
Robinson.
Oh, hold on. I'll call it.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Right, Stacey's
we were
been out
waiting.
of commission, but we're going to get him right back into commission,
Right.
literally and figuratively.
All right. Patricia Salmon.
Here.
Courtney Becks. Barbara Hedlund.
Present.
Jared Miller. There he is. I see him.
I'm here.
Frank Modica.
Here.
Janelle Orcherton.
Here.
Gonzalo Panilla.
Here.
Angela Williams. And Stacy Robinson.
Now I'm here.
All right, good. Welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be back. Good to see you.
All right. All right. Next thing we need to do is just go through approval of minutes of the previous meeting. Did anybody have any changes or questions about those?
I'll move approval of the minutes.
I'll second.
Okay. According to Jason, we do have to have a roll call vote on this. So let's go ahead and just do that
All right.
on approval.
Salmon.
Aye.
Absent.
Yeah.
Courtney Becks was absent. Barbara Hedlund.
Approve, yes.
Jared Miller.
Yes.
Frank Modica.
Yes.
Janelle Orcherton.
Yes.
Gonzalo Panilla.
Yes.
Angela Williams.
I don't think she's here.
You're muted, Angela.
Yes, I was absent last month as well.
Okay, thank you. And Stacy Robinson.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, very good. Do we have any additions or changes to the agenda, Rachel?
Yes, we do. We're going to have an additional grant presentation from Ashanti Files representing the 2019 Urbana Arts Grant, Writers of Oya.
Okay. Do we have any public input? I'm assuming not. Okay, let's go ahead with the staff report then.
Excellent. And first and foremost, I just want to extend a warm welcome back to Stacy Robinson. So excited that you're back joining us on the commission. And of course, wonderful to see each and every one of you, and thankful that you've got 2 grant report presentations today. Things have been a little slow moving with COVID, and I'm so excited that we're going to start seeing more and more of those coming up, and both people who are wrapping up and even some folks who have already gotten their things kicked off for 2020, which will be giving you some final reports here coming up. Well, I'm going to share my screen in order to give your staff presentation for today. Make sure you all can see that. So this is your August 2020 staff report. And I will take a moment to say that there is an intern presentation that will also come following my report before we move on. I won't have it happen in the middle of my report just for continuity purposes, but I'll let you know when that's coming. So let me begin by saying that we've been still very, of course, much impacted by quite a number of things related to COVID-19. We continue to have a suspension of any of our mostly in-person programs that we're doing in response to the COVID-19 crisis, with the exception of some things that have been able to have small and socially distanced gatherings associated, such as our mural unveiling last month, which involved also Stacy. I'm really excited to share that even though we're in these constraints, we have quite a number of things coming up virtually, alternative formatted events, and things that are happening among our grantees, which I'll outline in today's presentation. We do continue to work largely remotely. Heather Ann is putting in some hours also in the city building, but the city building remains relatively closed to the public by appointment, and there's other ways that you can, of course, reach out and have in-person appointments from a social distance as well. That said, we do have some staffing changes coming up. So last month you heard a lot from me about many of the summer interns that have been able to work with us over this summer. Believe it or not, some of those internships are already coming to a close, at least before your next September commission meeting. So I wanted to make sure that we recognize those students today. So in particular, the intern hired through our Care for You program, Rima Salem, is joining us this evening. She's going to give you a brief presentation following my staff report about some of the noteworthy accomplishments that she's had during her time this summer. And we also will be saying goodbye to 16 of our WeCU program participants as far as their summer internship is concerned. Those WeCU interns are through this program called WeCU, which has kind of grown partially out of the Community Learning Lab program that we've been working with for quite some time through the University of Illinois School of Social Work. WeCU is a collaboration between the School of Social Work and a number of other units on campus at the University of Illinois, including the College of Education and some others that have really emphasized basically civic service in response to COVID-19. So they've come to do programs. They receive recognition through the university for those programs. And it's been at no cost to us that we've had some additional assistance, 16 students to be exact, who've worked on different projects that I'll outline in today's staff report. I want to mention that some of them have been, have indicated their interest in continuing in some sort of internship capacity this fall, also through the university. One student's been able to also sign up to work alongside the Arts and Culture program as part of a James Scholar project. But students are currently exploring obtaining things like class credit or continuing through the WeCU program. So we will have some of these students continue into the fall, which is an exciting opportunity for us. Let's talk first, as I said, Rima Salem will be giving a presentation following this. I want to just take a moment to also say that the Care for You program has been a wonderful program. She'll outline a little bit more about it, but we've been able to have students now for 2 years in a row through the Care for You program, which is through the Urbana High School. It's through the Department of Human and Family Services grant, and the Regional Planning Commission and Illinois State University are involved in managing that for our region. And it's been really exciting to be able to have Rima, so she'll be giving a presentation following me. But I want to take a moment to acknowledge our interns because their work has been pretty phenomenal this summer, and in simply a short period of time, with so much sort of power behind the work that they're doing, we've been able to accomplish quite a bit. So the WeCU program, as I mentioned last month, you have quite a number of students spanning quite a number of majors and years in school. So we have students who are doctoral students like Pooja, students who are master's students. We've got undergraduates, and their majors really do span quite a bit, as you see here. But each and every one of these students really did a wonderful job working with us this summer. Each and every one of them have worked on different kinds of projects for the Arts and Culture program and commission. And they really have all been able to really do some heavy lifting from home. So they've all been working remotely. I've shared with you last month, we had sort of a comedy of errors with getting them signed up, and it resulted in me indicating I would take probably about 4 students and talking about the different things they could work on, and them thinking I meant 4 groups of students, which is how we resulted in having 16 interns. But we really made the best of it. The program was excellent in helping me troubleshoot and really work to make sure those students could actually do the thing they signed up to do. And we were able to work together really nicely. So I've been, first of all, want to acknowledge Erin Burdisham, who I've been working with very directly from the program, and she's actually going to be coming into a program coordinator position for WeCU this fall, and she'll still be my main point of contact, but she's been a lovely staff person through that program who's spent a lot of time working with me to get these students oriented. But I want to talk about some of their accomplishments. So I'll go into more detail, but just to suffice it to say, some of them have been working on a cold calling effort I'll talk to you about in a moment. And that this is just the number of hours they've put in. So collectively 56.09 hours spent calling artists and arts organizations, roughly 24 hours on translation work that I'll detail in a moment, 14.5 hours on virtual events, and 16.5 hours on social media. So we've got 111 hours from these students this summer supporting our program. And I just want to take a moment to thank them. And we can't have each and every one of them here present, but I want to send them a copy of this video from today's meeting so that they know too that they're very appreciated. As many of you know, I'm the only full-time staff person for the Arts and Culture program, and interns, volunteers, and people putting in their time is really what makes its wheels run. So I'm delighted to have had the opportunity to work with these students. I really value the We See You effort coming from the University of Illinois to support area agencies like ours, and I hope the students got quite a lot out of it. Another thing I'll mention is that my college students through the We See You program also participated in mentoring our high school interns, which was really wonderful. So we had them participate in one mentor, it was called a mentor hour, but it definitely went over an hour. And they're going to be doing another one this week, just tomorrow, where they're answering all kinds of questions that our high school interns submitted in advance. And they're going to be able to ask some other questions as well. But it's a real opportunity for them to kind of ask a college student things they've wanted to ask them before they apply. And that's been good for us too. So major thanks to our We See You interns. I'm delighted to have been a part of that. And I know that they're going to be sending out some sort of intern acknowledgement recognition that I'll forward along to our arts commissioners from the We See You program. Moving along, though, I want to talk a little bit about our current projects. So first and foremost, I want to speak a little bit to our Urbana Arts grants. As you know, we gave out a record amount this year of $88,000. We funded 38 creative projects. They've been really dealing with quite a lot from COVID-19. To catch Stacy up and anyone listening for the first time, we've also had a set of guidelines that went out to how to support these organizers in the wake of COVID-19, and that has included some clear directions from us. I've spent some time doing 2 different workshops where we went over the guidelines and gave people an opportunity to ask me any questions. I've worked on planning committees. I've met individually with people planning events so that we can make sure that they're able to move forward to the best of their ability with alternative or virtual events. Our guidelines outlined our expectations for how they could move forward in alternative formats. The expectation, of course, of working alongside of CU Public Health for any in-person event planning, making sure that they really kind of center their work in Urbana through different means that we've advised them to do if they're doing virtual events. So lots of different advice we've been giving out, but really trying to work one-on-one because each and every event is different. I want to also highlight that there's been quite a number of projects that will be completed this month, or at least have kind of kicked off this month, or will be completed before the next commission meeting. So some of those you'll hear tonight from the writers of Oya. This is them appearing on CI Living. There's currently an open call for artists for the September 12th and 13th CU Black and African Arts Festival. Sweet Corn Festival, their theme is Remembering the Sweet Times, and that's coming up on August 22nd. It'll be a virtual event, but they will be having a sweet corn drive-through where you can pick up some corn and some different different kinds of swag and other things about the Sweet Corn Festival. And the Story Walk in Urbana Parks, which is through the Park District and the library, is also just recently kicked off this past weekend. This is still another effort that's accepting submissions. So you can submit a story you wrote or illustrated yourself to have in our Urbana Parks, and their focus is on local stories. So if you haven't considered submitting to that, we encourage you to. They're still accepting submissions well through the end of the month. I also want to mention some other events that we've had a part in that I didn't mention in particular. Sounds Like Community, which is a great initiative coming out of our Urbana-Champaign Independent Media Center. We've had our poet laureate Will Rieger be featured in that, as well as the writers of Oya, which you'll hear from Ashanti's grant report later today. We also have recently participated in the What He Said readings from Kevin T. Hobbs on the works of James Baldwin. It was for James Baldwin's birthday, and that was part of the Urbana Free Library. And the Independent Clapboard Film Festival also recently happened, and this is another grant-funded project, 2 weekends in a row from a very done well with social distancing and everything and masks. We had a handful of teens come and learn about filmmaking and are going to be invited to submit films to a small independent film festival being held through over at the Independent Media Center as well. I also want to give an update on the Great Art Doors. This has been a wonderful collaboration this summer that had emerged really at the urge of the Spurlock Museum of World Cultures. So Spurlock had reached out about wanting to fund some public art, and what we set out to do was pull together the 40 North Champaign County Art Council, pull together the park districts of Urbana and Champaign, and do a sort of county-wide art installation called the Great Art Doors. And we selected 10 different locations in Urbana, 5 in Urbana, 5 in Champaign. One of which is a community garden in both locations, so Learman Neighborhood Community Garden in Urbana and Randolph Street in Champaign. And we invited artists to submit works for installation in those parks. We recently had our jury committee meet to select. We selected 10 artists. They're each given a $1,000 stipend and time to work on the artwork. We're hoping that they'll install by the end of this month. We are in the position of, we had a couple other artists that didn't quite make the cut, but we wish we had enough to fund them. So we also put a call out for additional sponsorships, and this is something that the Arts and Culture Program could also consider sponsoring, but because we had talked a little bit as a commission about sculptures, murals, and us being in a sculpture year, what we really want to see, and one of the things that's come up a lot is supporting local art. The thing that's exciting about this is all of these are local artists that we're placing now in different area parks. So the full listing of the parks is here in your staff report. We also have a community element to this, where community members are going to be encouraged during the installation period to also transform their windows, balconies, porches, yards, neighborhoods into art to express any thoughts and feelings coming up around a lot of the issues that we're dealing with right now as a world and as a community. And we encourage them to tag them CU Art Doors, because we're hoping that we're going to have lots of dialogue through art about lots of things that are happening right now. So that's really the goal of this program. It's something that we can also, right now it's been at no cost to the Arts and Culture Program. Our contribution has been staff time and support of this project, but it's really been wonderful to see emerge, and our park districts are going to be assisting with the installation of those. I'm also going to mention our Art Inspired. So this is a collaboration with the Urbana Free Library, where we are highlighting a different artist each Monday. And so these are some of the ones that have premiered. The one that came out yesterday was the one featuring Carly Upchurch here in the middle. But we have a number coming up of different artists and really trying, and I think actually we recently had Ashanti featured. So we have quite a number of artists featured, and always looking for more. So if you know anyone that you'd like to especially see featured in this, we are featuring a piece of their artwork, a quote from them about what inspires them, and really just highlighting them and their work and where people can buy more of their work as well, because we really want to encourage people to shop local art. I want to mention some of the things going on for Urbana Poet Laureate Will Rieger, because he has been busy. And we have officially extended his tenure through October due to COVID-19 disruptions, just to give him a little more time and us a little more time to get this call out for our next Poet Laureate, but to allow him some space to finish up some of the projects that got delayed. We have now made a pretty solid plan for alternative formats and virtual formats to get some of the initiatives that he had started wrapped up, which is really wonderful. And those include things like Poets on a Park Bench, which has now been transformed into Poets in a Pandemic as a virtual TV miniseries. We have also the Postcard Poetry Project. Oh, and of course, Frank was recently featured. I want to mention that we also had the first of our Poems on Glass, but you'll be seeing a lot more of these pop up very soon. His Request a Poem continues to be a wonderful initiative. He's trying to reach 100 requests. So if you haven't personally asked for a poem from our Poet Laureate, all you have to do is email him and he'll write you a poem personally. And what he wants to do is eventually, put these together in a small book that will commemorate the 100 poems he wrote for people in the community during his time. One thing that's coming up that we just released today is our postcard poetry project. So you'll see this circulating throughout all over. It's going to have a deadline of August 28th. So anyone can submit a 4x6 postcard of art and poetry all on one side of the postcard. They will be put in a digital display. We're going to turn it also into a web display where we can do it through a video. So there will be, our hope is to air it on UPTV as well as on all of our social media pages and websites for the different partnering organizations. We are now partnering through these summer programs with the Park District and the library. And so recently the Poet Laureate gave a kids poetry workshop where we also talked about this and a number of other publishing opportunities for young kids. And we recently did a teen workshop that was actually hosted by Joe Manning, who is a Park District summer employee who also happens to be a former president of WORD on campus. Now, WORD is a spoken word organization, stands for Writers Organizing Realistic Dialect. It's a phenomenal group, and he was able to host that. So we had recently a teen workshop. Over, I think nearly 20 teens attended. It was really wonderful, all on Zoom. And they also got to practice and write their own poems and present them during the workshop. So we're encouraging all of them to submit as well. But this is the new initiative to push if you're willing to help us advertise some of the things our Poet Laureate is doing. Young Artist Studio has our next one is this upcoming Sunday. So again, these have all gone virtual, but we're going to be featuring Capoeira Angola for kids through the Capoeira Angola Center in Urbana, Sunday, August 16th at 3 p.m. I also want to mention that we continue to work on the development of a digital arts exhibit that we're kind of tentatively titled Teen Artists Reimagine the World. And this is a collaboration between Chambana Moms, Cranard Art Museum, Coop Adventure Play, Museum of the Grand Prairie. And we're currently working to really grow that partnership so that we have a lot of different community partners. And we're trying to organize with community groups and youth organizations to invite teen artists to lend their creative work towards visualizing a world without systemic racism and other isms, but instead that centers peace, justice, and unity. And so really visioning that through art. While the initiative is still in development, we have identified that some exhibition opportunities will include a digital display, public access TV, and in-person gallery and museum exhibits that are done in accordance with social distancing guidelines. Planning is still underway, so dates will be forthcoming on this, but I want to make sure that I share updates about it. I also want to take a moment to just highlight some of the things that our interns have been accomplishing. So I mentioned earlier when I talked about our interns, they are doing quite a lot of things. One thing that we have them working on is a artist relief cold calling effort to a lot of our arts and culture organizations that we work with in the community, as well as individual artists and businesses. So we have a pretty long list that they've been working with. It includes all of our grantees for the past couple of years, possibly the past 4 years. And we've been working also with a lot of our local arts organizations. And really they're being asked whether or not they kind of what the impact of COVID-19 has been on them as an artist or an arts organization, what some of their emerging needs are, what they know about artist relief. So have they applied? What are they aware of relief programs that exist? And then we're taking the time to share with them upcoming deadlines, dates, pointing them to our website where we have lots of our relief information up to date, state, national, and private relief programs. So that's a big effort that particularly our college interns have been working a lot on. They've done a phenomenal job. So we've been getting a lot of good feedback. And the good thing about it is that we have a better sense of how COVID-19 is impacting artists. And once this is wrapped up, I'd love to include it in my staff report so that you can also get some metrics and information about how artists are being impacted in our community. I should also mention that Kevin Hamilton is a former arts commissioner on our arts commission, and he's currently a dean in the College of Art, in the School of Art and Design. He's been working on an arts impact assessment initiative, and he's met independently with myself, with other arts agency directors and things like that in our local community. And he has a number of things that he's doing also towards that end. So it might be that I also invite him at that time and we talk about like where things are at with assessment, but that's something we're always looking to improve upon. And I hope that this effort will lend to that. We've also had a team of students working specifically on translation. So they've been translating our documents into Spanish, French, and Mandarin. And we've been working a lot with that. We've been able to also assist some of the other community development projects at the city of Urbana with some translation support. I have another intern who's working with me specifically on programming for elders, so different arts programming for our senior populations. We've reached out to activities directors in all of our Urbana senior centers, and so we have a plan right now to have a meeting all together and talk about what some of their needs are and how we might be able to partner with some of our existing programs, or perhaps launching some new things that would bring probably live streamed things to their facilities. We also have students working particularly on web, social media, and newsletter updates. You might have seen that our very first newsletter in quite a long time just went out last week, and that has been through the help of having interns, so that's been wonderful. We also have teen artist programs coming up. So as you can see up here at the top, we've got a teen artist check-in. It was announced on social media. It's a listening session. We're inviting teens to tell us what they'd like to see out of the arts program, and also talking to them about what existing, resources we have, how they can get involved in our various programs. We have also got some different cultural programming coming up, particularly our student Rima, who we'll be talking to you in a moment, has been working on an African dance workshop she's going to be giving on Thursday, and that'll be based on Zoom as well. We also have some different outreach efforts going on. So we've been working on particular outreach with different parts of the Urbana population, and I'll have a more concrete update on that next month. Thanks to Frank Modica of our Arts Commission for meeting with us earlier today. Me and another intern who are working on initiatives for artists with disabilities or sensory sensitivities. So we had a meeting talking about how we can do more programming that direction. Our student who is interested in a James Scholar program is going to be, or a James Scholar project is going to be centering her project about sensory sensitive musical concerts for folks on the autism spectrum. And so that'll be really exciting. We also have a student, one of our interns working specifically on Art Now. So our intern Max is going to be working with me in the next month to film a couple of Art Nows with different artists who will come and be part of that TV mini-series. And then all of our interns have been working on professional development efforts. So each and every one of them work with me to do career inventories, to do different exercises that help them think about their next step, whether that's college or job or finishing high school, whatever's next for them. And so it includes also working on things like their LinkedIn profiles, their resumes, their cover letters, meeting with somebody in their field. So there's a lot of things that I do with the students to make sure that they're also getting that mentorship support. We continue to look for sponsors for our 8 approved artworks for utility box murals. So just a call out to anyone who's interested in sponsoring. We do have some more available. And my hope is to get these installed before next month. So you'll be hearing hopefully a lot of announcements about these. As I said last month, and we didn't have much of a conversation about it, I didn't put it on a discussion topic for this month, but we did receive the 2020 list of sculptures. And I think that if we aren't able to kind of go into discussion about this today without it being on the agenda, it might be good to put it on next month's agenda to decide whether or not there's any sculptures we want to move forward on in the unveiling. I did forward this to all commissioners, so you got hopefully a PowerPoint presentation. I'm going to send it again, just so in case you didn't get it, from the Public Art League of all the approved sculptures for this year that they're seeking sponsorships for. So these are ones that we could choose from if we want to install a sculpture. And then, like I said, some of that budget could also be considered for the Great Art Doors if we wanted to sponsor a local artist installation, and then also consider maybe the remainder for a Public Art League sculpture. So that's something for us to consider. And lastly, I just want to mention that there are quite a number of new dates and deadlines coming up for COVID-19 artist relief. Like I said, we've been cold calling agencies. We maintain a list of dates and deadlines, so that is all now on our city website. And the link is, I actually did not put the link in your report today, but I'm happy to send that out. It's got a page right on the front of the city's website as well. But we have had an intern actually go through and update all of it with all the new deadlines, take out anything that's already passed, because things have been kind of rapid, as you know, and changing rapidly as well. We do include here an Americans for the Arts Relief Guide link. They have done a fantastic job of keeping it up to date. And it's a really user-friendly thing where you can also indicate like what state you're in, and they'll show you things that would be relevant to you, or even like what creative sector you're in. So that's something that I did include in your report, and I encourage you to send it to anyone who expresses an interest in any type of artist relief. And here's the link to that too. So that's here in your page. And that's it. That's my report for today. Any questions?
Okay, thank you, Rachel.
Oh, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead, Angela.
Sorry, I don't see the little hand icon raising here. So thanks so much for the report. And I haven't been here in a while, so it's great to hear updates and all that you're doing. A couple questions, just thinking about how we can help as commissioners, what we can do or help get the word out about. So about you mentioned there are the murals, you're looking for 8 sponsors. I'm wondering if you could talk about like what's required for a sponsor. Are there certain dimensions, financial, and then also
Absolutely.
just about the murals as well. Or the sculptures, I didn't get an email. And then finally, just about the artist relief. What is that? Like, is it again, a number, that financial,
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, sure.
So for utility box murals, a sponsorship in the form of $1,500 will take care of a utility box mural, and it's a placard that says where it's from. So that's roughly the cost. And so what I will do actually that I haven't done is put a call on our social media that you can share as a commissioner that will indicate like this is what it would take to sponsor, this is how you'd be recognized as a sponsor, this is what we're looking for. And this is a great way for sponsors, for private folks who want to sponsor a project to come in. Like I said, the Great Art Doors itself, that already has one private sponsor, which is wonderful. So maybe I didn't say that. So we had selected 10, which we already had Spurlock committed to funding. And then we had a private sponsor come forward and say, hey, I want to sponsor another one. So we actually already have an 11th. But like I said, there's roughly 12 artists that we would love to have in the program. So we are still looking for a sponsor. And that is something that I was suggesting as we consider. We already budget money for our sculptures each year, and we've been talking about, how many sculptures do we want to put in? Do we want to do something like this and maybe put something towards something that might even be more local? Because a lot of our Public Art League collaboration is a national call, and even though local people can apply, and they do, and there are some local people in the pool, it is very national. So like our 2 sculptures that we put in 2 years ago, because we do it every other year, Bobby Joe Scribner comes from Woodstock, Illinois, and then our other one, and I'm forgetting what town exactly, but hails out of Florida. So you see that they really come from different areas. You had a couple of other questions and now they escape me.
Oh, well, also just real quick about the murals again. Are those online? I'm sure you've sent those to us. I mean, will people be able to look at the murals and choose which one they want to sponsor? Is that?
So right now, I don't have that set up to happen that way. If somebody expresses an interest, I would show them the ones that have been pre-approved by a jury, because we haven't done a public release of them yet, since we don't know if we can install them all.
Got you. Okay. Thanks.
But I'd be happy to talk to anyone who expresses an interest and show them what's available, because they may want to sponsor a very specific one. Other questions? Yeah, Frank?
Okay,
And also, Angela, did I answer all your questions?
Yeah, there are a lot of big old buildings in downtown Champaign, brick buildings that would just be lovely. I think that's just a prime place for murals.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking if businesses knew, they could make this contribution. I assume it's like a tax write-off as well, maybe, since it's to Urbana, the city
Probably.
of Urbana.
The thing that is, I should clarify, is this is for utility boxes. So what these are
utility
wraps.
boxes.
Yeah, so these are wraps on our large utility boxes that are in our downtown. And so we've actually selected about 8 that we're eyeing. That said, one of our, this was the first year we funded murals through our arts grant program. So we are getting 2, I believe, 2 new murals through our arts grant program this year, and 1 is already underway.
Okay, I see. So
To your point, we have also had a lot of private business owners express an interest in murals. So one thing I have been doing is anytime somebody expresses an interest, I note it. I know that there's somebody that they can talk to. And then when we get to a grant cycle, especially, but anytime somebody tells me they want to do a mural, is I point them in the direction of those business owners. And what we do with allowing murals in our arts grant program for the first time this year has also been making sure that we have those relationships upon applying. And so that was what happened with these first 2 that got funded this year, was they came forward with a property owner who was really enthusiastic and a letter of support from them, and even like kind of co-applied, which is really wonderful.
Okay, great. Thank you. I guess the last, sorry, I just have one more about the
Right.
COVID relief fund. Is it an amount that people apply to, or it's
Yeah,
artists?
so this is all different. So there's state funds, there's federal funds, and we went through a whole round, and then we weren't sure if there was going to be any more. So as our federal government has changed, you know, and maybe decided to grant more, that's when we found out that there's more. And typically the National Endowment for the Arts, the NEA, distributes the federal funding, and then there's a portion, a percentage of that becomes state funding, and that's typically distributed here through the Illinois Arts Council. Then we have some private sources. So actually locally in the community, I've heard most from our artists that a couple of them or more have told me that they got artistrelief.org money. Now that's actually a consortium of some different arts organizations that came together to create that fund. So that's more of a, I would say, sort of a private effort in a way. But so what we try to do when we're cold calling is we're giving them as much information as we know to be true of any upcoming deadlines, of like any local things that are of value. So for instance, we have a lot of, you know, we have business grants, we have some small relief funding we've had for this through the city. We've always communicated that, but then we're adding all the artist specific stuff. In the culture side of things, around cultural programming, the National Endowment for the Humanities is really where that funding comes through as well. And so I did attend a webinar. I mentioned this on a previous meeting, but I did attend some sort. It was a very useful webinar that featured a lot of the people that distribute this funding. The only challenge I had with it is that the NEA grant funding, so specifically for federal funding for artists, had already had a deadline when we had the webinar. So if you hadn't applied for that first portion, you actually couldn't apply. But we do have some more monies coming through. So right now we're just trying to get that word out as much as we can. Thank you. Frank, I'm sorry to cut you off. What was your question?
Oh, I had a question about the postcard, poetry
Yeah.
postcard. It mentioned writing and art. And I know several people who are poets, but they're not artistic. They
Yeah.
do visual art. So are they out of luck? Can they still?
No, they're encouraged to collaborate. So you can actually team up with someone to submit. And there's some eligibility information I shared online, and it says that as well. So it says that you can work in collaboration with others. So an artist could work with a poet or the other way around and co-submit. And then when they do submit to the email address, they're encouraged to add some specific information. And if they come and deliver to the Dropbox, it'll also ask them to fill out some simple information that'll go on an art label. So, you know, the title of the piece, anybody who's involved, their names, that sort of information.
Okay.
And it should all fit to one side of the postcard. So it shouldn't be like poem on one side and art on the other. It should all be on one side. How you do that is up to you. Other questions?
Yes, I have a question. So because I sometimes a little confused about the schedule for each program. So do you have like a general schedule for the programs that you were presenting? Like for example, for the Create Art Doors, for the Poems on the Glass, just to have a more
Like a
clear
calendar?
sense of so for each of the programs.
Right. So, you know, that's something that really our arts program and our greater community needs is an arts and culture calendar. And we've talked about that for a long time, about possibly heading that up eventually. The thing that we have now is a lot of our programs do happen on a very regular schedule. So for instance, Young Artist Studio is every third Sunday of the month at 3. And then we have, you know, other programs that we do that might also follow a similar thing. We are currently doing a lot of web updates, thanks to Heather Ann, who's also on our call. She's been working hard on some web updates. And our website will also reflect our upcoming dates. But we do typically use social media to get the word out the most, and our newsletter, which we now have going back out. So that's wonderful. So that's probably the 2 best ways to figure out upcoming dates and deadlines for the program. So even the postcard poetry thing, it was shared this morning, but I'll be creating this evening a Facebook event page that just highlights the deadline for that. But a lot of our social media things, we're trying to go all across social media. And thanks to our interns, we also recently have a TikTok, which is wonderful. I'm not very familiar with TikTok personally, but I know that it's very, very useful. And one of the things that Max, who's on our call, has been working on is particularly taking some of our art nows and finding some really like unique quotes and things like that from artists, unique like short clips of them, and then putting them on TikTok so people can also see those and get looped to the full episode of the Art Now that features our different local artists. So I wish I had a better response for you, Gonzalo, because we do need like a very wonderful calendar. And I'll say that we do standardly submit our events to all of the area calendars. So they get sent to Smile Politely, they get put on Chambana Moms and Chambana Seniors, they get put on the News Gazette calendar, they get sent to Visit Champaign County. So we really do try to send them around everywhere we can. We do a press release and all that, but having an actual dedicated arts and culture calendar, oof, we need that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay,
Any other
Rachel, were you going?
questions? If there aren't any other questions, I want to, I'm going to actually kind of be the person who helps put up her presentation, and I'll be advancing her slides for her, but Rima will be presenting then on her experience as an intern. You guys are ready for that. Sarah, did you have a question?
Barbara, I think we're getting a lot of feedback from your mic.
Really?
Oh, yep, it was. It's all right. One method is just keeping it muted until you're talking. That might help. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen if you're ready. And Jason, if you could give Rima the ability to talk, I think she might be able to. But hi, Rima.
Hi.
All right, I'm going to share a screen and pull up your presentation. So hold just a moment. Okay, go for it, Rima.
Okay. My name is Rima. I'm working at Urbana Art and Culture, and I love it.
I'm so glad you love it.
I'm in 11th grade. I'm from DR Congo. My year of graduation is 2022. I like dancing, singing, and playing soccer. What is Care for You? Care for You is a federal funded program in East Central Illinois aims to equip young people for success transition into adulthood. Care for You teaches positive relationships, job readiness, and the money management skills to members ages 15 to 24 in Champaign-Urbana in 25 weekly sessions during school year and places students in summer employment opportunities. The program is a partnership between Illinois State University in normal and high schools across Champaign-Urbana. It's funded by a grant from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Why I chose the City of Urbana Arts and Culture program. I chose the City of Urbana Arts and Culture program because I wanted to know more about arts and culture. I'm particularly interested in dance, education, and the performing arts. Noteworthy accomplishments. I created a contact list of Congolese community leaders and devised suggestions for how Urbana Art and Culture program could better serve the local Congolese community. Updated school contact list for teachers engaged in art and culture. Participated in mentor hours with college students interns to ask questions about college. Developed and soon to lead the African dance workshop for youth. There it is.
Here's the copy of the flyer.
Yeah. perfection. This opportunity has helped me learn a lot about art and culture for the community. This experience has shown me how much I love art and I want to be an artist. Like really, I want to be an artist. The professional development activities have helped me make that clear to me too. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for this experience and supporting programs like Care for You. Thank you.
Thank you, Rima. I want to encourage us all to give Rima a round of applause for excellent work this summer.
Thank you.
Rima really has hit the ground running with Care for You, and I have been so delighted to be working with her. So Thursday is her workshop on Zoom, and if you want to come, you're welcome to. You can learn some different African dance moves and steps. We'll try them out. It's especially important to send to any youth in your lives because we really also encourage youth to attend. But being able to work with her has been fabulous. All of these interns, I'm going to be really sad to see them go, but Rima's the first one whose internship will be ending because hers is different, on a different internship through the Care for You program. So I just wanted to acknowledge you, Rima, to thank you for your service to the program and to make sure everyone else heard from you the different things you've been working on. So folks, are there any questions for Rima?
Rima, would you plan to offer the African dance workshop maybe in the future for pay? Like, would you plan to be a dance teacher locally? Like if this one goes well?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Do you plan to stay in this area after you graduate high school, or do you know yet?
I don't know yet, but no, I don't know.
One thing that's exciting is that Rima's workshop is coming like as almost a lead-in to the West African, the CU Black and African Arts Festival. And we have another dance workshop that will happen during that festival time from Tatiana Ammons of Noma Expressions. And so the Arts and Culture program is offering not one, but two opportunities to learn African dance moves that hopefully you can then, jam to when you're attending the CU Black and African Arts Fest. So I was really excited that we were able to put that together. And I want to encourage interns like Rima to be able to also see a program completely through, like be able to devise it. So she's actually come up with the whole agenda for Thursday, and I'm really excited to kind of tag team it with her and be her assistant for that program.
I'm excited too.
Yay, it's gonna be great. All right, I hope you guys can attend. And thanks again to Rima. Wonderful job this summer with your internship program.
Thank you.
Started back on. Sorry, can I ask a quick question? I was curious if Rima could share her the list that she updated of all the arts and music teachers. Since I'm always in contact with teachers every year for the outreach programs.
I can send that to you. We've got a pretty robust list of teachers going on right now, and we've included teachers beyond just art and music teachers and theater teachers. We're trying to also include English teachers, other people who might want to collaborate, social studies teachers who might be interested in cultural programs we do, all of the above. So I'll be happy to share that with you, Barbara.
Super, thank you so much.
Okay, are we ready for grant presentations then? Okay, who would we like to go first, the Ralph or Ashanti?
We'll go with Ralph first as he was on the agenda, and then Ashanti will be next.
Okay, very good. Okay, Ralph Lewis is going to be presenting on the All Score Urbana project from 2019.
Yes, hi,
Are you there?
I'm Ralph. Yes, hello. Yeah, so I'm here to talk about this All Score Urbana project, and I'll give you a little context about where it's been coming from and what we did. So I'll share my screen and I'll pull up my lovely PowerPoint for all of you. Can everyone hear me? Are people able to hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so to make sure, it's really hard to read a room when you're looking at a wall. So I'm here to talk about All Score Urbana, and What is All Square Urbana? All Square Urbana is a community engagement music composition workshop that I started in 2016. It's come in different formats, but the core of it is really about creating on-site, or the virtual version of that, on-site connections between composers and songwriters and performers, any kind of composition advice or technology advice they're looking for. It's not music lessons, and it's not a performance ensemble. Instead, it's more focused on welcoming people to trying new things, thinking about their processes, and ideally building any kind of a local relationship with different folks. Also, more and more, we're trying to focus on the idea of community engagement rather than outreach. Because unfortunately, especially I'm currently a student at University of Illinois, a lot of music groups do this idea of outreach where they come and they demonstrate their awesomeness to people and then they go home. And that's really fun, but we're more interested in the idea of finding out ideas and interests and ideas we can support with community members. So more and more we're working on that. So this summer's program had a handful of teaching artists. So we had Michelle Lee and Mike McAndrew, who are a duo called Duo Motive. As part of the guest artists, we had saxophonist and composer Nick Ortiz, Christopher Raymond on bassoon. Chris has actually been working with me on this on and off since the original pilot program of this in 2016 at Urbana Free Library. So Chris has been in it for the long haul. And then there's me. I'm a composer, but it's not, once again, it's not like it's just composition lessons or something. That can be part of it, and in this case it was, but it's not like a strict course or something like that. Anyway. So this summer, we served 12 community composers, songwriters, and creative folks on 16 of their projects. So if you know, some people doubled up, which is pretty nice. As part of this, we've had ongoing post and video performances of their work. We're still rolling out some of those ones, but we're really excited about what we've gotten to share so far and what we get to share with you today. And in the next week or so, we'll be having more of them appear. Apparently, art takes time. Anyway, so we also did a live stream of 5 new and recent piano works that included 2 world premieres and 2 web premieres. Mike McAndrew, who I believe is in the virtual audience today, he was the soloist on that. So we did works from composers who were from early middle school age to college age, and in general, we've been able to serve creative people from late elementary school to adults of all ages. What's also really fun is that about half of the participants tried new things when they joined us. It wasn't as simple as, I always write piano pieces, this is my next piano piece. That's okay too, but a lot of talking about writing music can be about finding whatever version of permission you have to go and dream and explore and grow, and to have people that can back you up, support you, maybe take the anxiety out of a particular roadblock is something that I try to deal with, and I know that everyone who I brought in on this project also cares about a lot too. That being said, how about we listen to some music? So we have one selection here. This is River Everlasting by Sarah Stelzer. So we'll listen to maybe about 2 minutes of that, if that's okay. And see it too. So I'll pause right there, but wasn't that lovely? So with in working on these projects, we would tend to post them on Facebook. That received around 400 views. And while it's a simple thing, I really appreciate hearing from actually some of the original Kickstarter donors from back in 2016, particularly about Sarah's piece. Just to check on time, do I have 4 minutes left or 3 minutes left?
Whatever you can do is great.
Okay, sure. I don't want to be a hog.
No,
So
you're fine.
if I can, I'd love to just point something out really amazing. So Emily Wilson is another composer that we've gotten to work with. And Emily tried something new this summer. She tried out doing what's called graphic notation. And in this piece right here by Nick, that Nick Ortiz performed, Emily got to explore this for the very first time. And because of the immediate feedback and the input and the support and the taking it seriously, that kind of dynamic that Nick brought to it, and that Michelle, the flutist, also took to her interpretation of it, it wound up actually spurring Emily to create another piece. So just for a moment, I'll just play a bit of Nick playing, but if you like it, please come and check out the other piece by Emily, because it's so lovely when someone feels so encouraged when they're doing something new. So let's listen to about maybe, let's say, a minute of this piece. And of course, Emily is very funny, so I love that title of No Title Needed. So we'll stop there for right now. But yeah, if you notice, look how seriously Nick is taking the situation. Emily has been composing about, for about 2 years now. Imagine what it's like having someone take you seriously and work with you and care about what you're doing. And that's very much at the heart of what we try to do. So in terms of lessons that we've learned, I just riff off of what we just saw, that earning trust from community members is essential to what we do. And especially as we continue to work with people in Champaign-Urbana, word of mouth, being thoughtful as we work with people and continuing to find meaningful community partners is really invaluable to doing this. It's definitely helped that I've met some of the current participants at previous versions of this workshop. Demetrios Glaros, for instance, is going to have this really hotshot piano solo that Mike is going to be posting in about maybe a week or so. And that was spurred on by a previous great working relationship with Chris Raymond, the bassoonist that we have. And another thing is that we're going to continue to look for ways to create that more casual drop-in environment that we really like having, because let's face it, if you can pay money and show up to a composition lesson, some battles have already been fought. But to have something that's free to the public, where people can walk in, go, oh, what's that? And just start talking and trying things, that can be a very special experience. We've also been trying to be flexible with everyone's technical issues. I think one time, especially because Mike has been on the lion's share of projects, he and I did Facebook video, we did the Google Meet, we did Google Hangout, and one other thing, like in a row, to work with people, to meet them with what their computers could do. For future programs, some of the lessons that we've been thinking about is working, maybe leaning more into these live stream performances, because we had a lot of fun, and it seems like we had a lot of people enjoying it as well. You can find the actual live stream performance on our Facebook page. Mike did a really wonderful job. We're also, another lesson we learned is that we had different kinds of responses, and because this isn't a workshop where we tell you what to do, it's, give us an idea what's something that would be fun. Being able to adjust more mid-program with personnel would be helpful. Mike is taking a bunch of tests in September, so the idea was, it would have been nice maybe to have flexibility and throw in an additional pianist or something to back him up a little bit. Not that Mike can't handle it, but to be respectful of his time too. So next steps. This fall, thanks to you, actually, we're getting to do a second round of working with Urbana High School students. And thanks to the Arts in the Schools grant and the College Music Society nationally awarded engagement award that we got, we're able to bring in performers like Mike, including Mike, for instance, and a number of other people. And this time we're going to serve people beyond just the orchestra, but people who are interested in making music from band, choir, and are otherwise just in the high school and not already in an ensemble. And I'm also really excited, and this was always the goal, but Brittany, it's just been just escalating in her awesomeness, but Brittany J. Green will be joining us. And Brittany is a doctoral student in composition at Duke University, and she's the current Society of Composers Incorporated student representative on its executive council. So this is someone who literally speaks to essentially as many student composers' needs as possible throughout the US. She's amazing and super creative and super passionate. She's done a bunch of engagement work in the Carolinas, where she's from. So having her involved will be just absolutely a dream. And she's super funny too. So I've gotten to collaborate with her in the past, and I think that she is just the perfect person to bring in. So anyway, if you want to find out more, feel free to join us on Facebook. Contact us through that way. We'll be doing posts with lots of written descriptions and so on. We have a new YouTube channel where we'll be storing the performances we're making in a more long-term fashion. And I'm the one generally responding to this email, allscoreurbana@gmail.com, and I love answering questions, any kind of drop-in question, like I'm trying to write for a flute, but I've got a sock stuck in it. What do I do? Well, first take out the sock, and then let's talk about making sure this flute's okay. And if any ideas about projects or new ways to team up on things, I think that would be really lovely. So I'll stop sharing now and share my lovely face again.
Any
Thank you,
questions
Ralph.
for Ralph?
Sure. Hello.
Nobody's taking my bait. I just want to say thank you, Ralph. This is a wonderful project. And I hope that, if we're able to do things like our concert series live streamed, that we're hoping to be able to come up with, that some of the folks involved in All Score Urbana might be able to come along for that project too. Yeah, so
Sure. If you,
we'll talk more.
Yeah, please do. It would be really, really fun. On a side note, in terms of other next steps, so Duo Motive was already thinking about touring with those flute and piano pieces and the piano solos and flute solos, but Chris, the bassoonist, has been slowly amassing bassoon rep from Central Illinois composers to do as a concert. So ideally, when he's done doing other work, he'll do a recital of just work all from like this county and adjacent counties. So yeah.
I guess I have a quick question. You gave me time, so thank you so much. It sounds like a really great program. Could you talk a little bit about the original 12 participants, how they were selected, and how they what kind of diversity they represent?
They're not selected. It's just people who replied to our posts and emails.
Oh, okay. How did you publicize your posts? What emails? I mean, was there an email list or?
In this case, I sent out information on through our Facebook page. I emailed the local high schools. I reached out to people who I was aware of who were interested in things. This program tends to be something where you have to see it to believe it. And it's not that it's so impossible, but the idea of anyone caring about what you're making is kind of a hard prospect. And also the idea of saying, wait, you mean you're not going to tell me what to do? That I get to just tell you what I want and we're going to try to make this work. It can be a bit of a hard sell in that way. So I have found that word of mouth and building long-term relationships has been the key to making this work. So generally things branch out. And something that's been lovely, we've been working with a dancer who has had some negative experiences with composers in the past. And part of it has been this weird kind of division of labor where it's like, you're not part of us, you're a dancer, go away. And the whole thesis of what we're doing is essentially, you're part of the band and let's work collaboratively and work together.
Great. Can you share just quickly about demographics of the participants? Age, gender, background?
Sure. So in this case, we tended to serve, the large majority of people were 20 or younger. Generally speaking, we were serving, in this case, it was mostly like, I'd say middle-class income folks. I'm definitely interested in making things work, but one of the hard parts is when you reach out to folks and they say, I don't want to make art right now, it's a pandemic. So we reach out to several folks. There's a handful of local hip hop folks I'd reach out to specifically to use this group of folks for samples, for any kind of support. Of the responses we got, we are going to be contributing additional instrumental tracks on an existing song by one songwriter. And for another person, we're going to be contributing a brand new arrangement. That's their arrangement now using these instruments. So it's kind of a hard fit, and it's something that is always, I think, imperfect, and especially because as much as I look very fancy in my tie, this is a program that's me in a suitcase.
Right. So, yeah. Can you just mention gender breakdown and racially? You weren't clear about racial breakdown.
Sure. So in general, I'd say that it's probably a 60-40 split in terms of women to men. As far as I have been told, no non-binary folks or genderqueer folks. Although I collaborate with folks like that all the time, so they're totally welcome, of course. In terms of race, it was mostly white, some Asian folks, one Black participant, and there were several other folks who just were busy. One person was doing a business trip. I really wanted to support her songwriting, and she's just doing a business trip and she couldn't do it. Another person was interested, and then work got really busy. Unfortunately, it's one of those problems where it would be really great if everybody had the time to do stuff. It's frustrating on my end because I would love to give you a much more robust report about that.
Yeah, thank you. Well, maybe working at Urbana High School, that might help too,
Yeah.
possibly.
Other questions for Ralph?
Oh, yeah, I have a question. So, Ralph, thank you for your this program. And so, do you have are you recording or posting the projects that you are working with the community members, or so are you also recording them and posting, or just
In terms of recording the sessions and so on?
yeah, the sessions for the 12 community members that are.
Also, I feel like I just want to make sure that, like, it's not like I chose 12 disciples. It was, people who emailed me back and showed up more than once,
Right, and one thing I wanted to also make sure is understood. So the people participating, so that I'm clear too, Ralph, my understanding is those are composers, right? And so
composers, songwriters, creative folks who are trying stuff out. Yeah.
Okay, and Gonzalo, your question is about like whether in the early conversations and practicing around the things that they composed, if that was recorded. Is that your question?
Yeah, that's.
Got it.
Yeah, I really thought about how, wow, that could be great for PR. Wow, that could be great for documentation. It just seemed excessive in this time where everyone is already feeling awkward about whatever is behind them, to ask that of people who are already, taking artistic risks. Also, a lot of people I was working with were families and children. So I felt like it was a better idea to focus on the art. But generally speaking, I would have, like, hooray, it's a bonanza, it's all the instruments, let's take photos and take a look at that. But these were very intimate things. And to make a silly joke, while I did seriously answer your question, also, with all the technical problems and trying to talk a 12-year-old through this streaming app isn't working, let's use this other thing so we can finally hear the audio of your notation software. I feel like the look of horror and banging on the keyboard as things aren't working would be more distressing than useful. But in all seriousness, I did consider it, and it just seemed like a thing where, I mean, we can show there are photos we have of previous versions of this program, but in this more intimate, calling into home while little sister's running around kind of space, it just felt like too much to ask of folks.
Thank you for your.
I appreciate you asking, though.
And of course, Ralph, as you go and venture this year into the high school, and that particular, and of course I say venture into the high school, but we're going to be Zooming from home and remote learning as well. I know you'll encounter some of the same things. I do encourage you, and I'm sure some of the commissioners who are raising these questions would echo, document as much as you can some of the wonderful experiences you have with these students that you're working with in the high school, and any opportunity that we have to sort of give them to some sort of like publicity and access and highlights, and that could even come in the form of collaborating with the arts program as we support you in the next year as well. And so I'll probably have some additional orientations and such with the grantees where we can talk about ways that we could support you. But like artist highlights where we could highlight the composers or songwriters are also things that we might be able to do by supporting your program with ours.
Absolutely, and I really appreciated the recent posts of the things that we put on Facebook. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks again, Ralph.
Bye.
Okay, our next grant presentation will be from Ashanti Files on Writers of Oya.
You're muted, Ashanti. Oh, we just need to unmute you. Hold on one second. Can you unmute yourself? There you go. Ashanti, I'm having some struggles hearing you. Hold on just a moment. Can other folks hear Ashanti? Not really.
No.
Try speaking again.
She's
So
probably
Ashanti,
trying to do her
also
audio
in
through
on
her
your-
phone.
Are you also on the phone as well? What is your name on the phone? Is it Shawnee? Okay, there you go. Let me.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there we go. Now we got it.
Thank you, Jason.
Okay, so that's a problem that I found I've been having. I have to talk through my phone, but use the computer to see. So thank you for your patience, and thank you to whoever worked that out. Hi, I'm Ashanti. I am the founder of the Writers of Oya, and my children are so excited they keep popping into the room. So please forgive them. Let's see. This is my first time screen sharing. Can everyone see that?
Yes.
Wonderful. So my name is Ashanti. I am a registered nurse. I'm a wife. I am a mother, and I'm also a writer for 20 years. The wonderful program that you guys sponsored me for was the Writers of Oya. The Writers of Oya is a 4-week program targeted for middle school girls. It uses poetry, specifically slam poetry, as a skill to assist girls with coping with stressors of daily life as well as trauma. The reason that I chose slam poetry is because it's very expressive. You get to play with your body, your language, the way that you speak, the volume, the tone, and I felt that it would be perfect for a little middle school drama queen, and it was. So who is Oya? In African mythology, Oya is a goddess whose power is rooted in the natural world. She is the warrior queen of wind, storms, fires, the protector of women, and the patron of female leadership. So my mission was to use the qualities of this African Orisha, which is another word for goddess, and just kind of bring in her personality to inspire the girls to reflect on their experiences, discover their truths, and then teach them how to write what they've gone through. We need to understand the problem that middle school girls face, specifically girls of color. So according to a study published by Science News, conducted at Rutgers University, depression in teens of color, particularly Black adolescents, manifests differently from typical depression. As a registered nurse, mental health is very close to my heart. So you may imagine someone struggling from depression as someone who stays in bed all day, who generally doesn't have an interest in activities. And while this is true, for adolescent girls of color, they have more behavioral indicators, such as vocally complaining. Whereas you will expect an adolescent to draw within themselves, they may actually express themselves more outwardly, more angrily, and that pushes a lot of adults away. So they often miss that cue that this is depression and not an attitude problem. They tend to complain vocally about interpersonal conflicts and have complaints of physical pain. The Anxiety and Depression Association of America recognizes that people of color are 20% more likely to suffer from depression and more severe forms of depression. Yet, because this population is least likely to have access to healthcare and resources, they're not likely to get the treatment that they need. So research suggests that meetings in groups is an effective way to empower women of color to discuss mental health. Wherein lies my project, the Writers of Oya. So as far as demographics are concerned, our recruitment occurred during the lunch hours at Urbana Middle School. I made a really creative, fun, colorful poster board. I also had flyers and I attended the lunch times of 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. I also had lots of candy to get them to visit the table. By the end of our recruitment period, girls had signed up. Typically, I had 30 completed forms, 50 expressed interest, but at the end of the fall semester, only 4 completed the program. In spring semester, only 11 did. My methods for teaching these students were utilizing a small classroom. The girls were instructed or introduced to each other, myself as a facilitator, and slam poetry. The participants were informed within this space that privacy would always be respected. I felt like safety and privacy were the most important things because we were dealing with topics such as racism, sexism, suicidal ideation, depression. So it was really important for the participants to feel safe, to feel that I was a safe adult they can talk to, and for their parents to know that I was a trusted adult they could talk to, that if they showed any red flags, I would intervene, alert the parent so that they could get further help. The second method was creating. This step focused on teaching the art of poetry as a way to express their feelings. By giving the girls a name for their feelings and empowering them to be honest with themselves, participants began to write based on prompts. So students would come in and they would say, okay, I don't know how to write a poem. And I would say, I don't care about that. How was your day? We'd spend 15 minutes talking about their day, identifying a predominant emotion that happened through their day, and then from there, start to write about it. The third step was committing. The final step of our program was to polish the written works, perform them, and recognize the importance of expressing one's feelings with dealing with stress. This step involved the participants sharing their stories and their voices with others, teaching them how to communicate difficult experiences with adults, and demonstrating that their voices are valid and appreciated. I did a survey at the beginning and the end of the program. I asked the girls a question: do your voice matters? Do adults listen to you? At the beginning, they all said no, and by the end, they all said yes. Some of the challenges we faced was that despite interest, only 15 girls who registered completed the program. Transportation also proved to be a challenge, as many students catch public buses after school. This resulting in me needing to create specialized permission slips so that I could use my van to take the girls home after our program. An evaluation of the schedule was conducted with my community liaison, and we have hopes for the second season, if school is ever back in session, to integrate WOO as a part of the SPLASH program for more participation. Our successes. We had our very first community slam, which is attended by local poets, community members, as well as our poet laureate. The girls were so excited for his mentorship. We were featured on WRFU's Talks with Tari, and the girls did a live 1-hour interview where they recited their poetry and they discussed what it's like to be a woman of color in its environment. We've also expounded a lot on community engagement. This is a field where Rachel really provided me so much support and connected me with people that she knew. One of those people was Mariah Madison. She's the editor-in-chief of BuyBlackShambana.com, and the Writers of Oya actually wrote over half of the content for their first issue of Luminous magazine. We were also featured on CI Living, where I got to discuss the program and how I got to toot you guys' horns for giving me the grant money to do it. And we were also on Sounds Like Community, June 17th. So although our numbers were small in the fall and doubled by spring, even through summer, the girls are creating a name for themselves, a reputation for themselves. People are emailing me, sending me messages on Facebook and through the website. If there's an event where you want to reach teens, especially girls of color, they ask for the Writers of Oya. And that's only possible because of this grant. So here's something in their words.
I work
hold on one moment. Can we make sure that you have maybe unshare your screen for a second, Ashanti, and then when you share it, click share it again and click. There's a checkbox in the bottom when you share that says share computer sound.
Okay, sorry.
Click that. So, yeah, no problem. I want to make sure that they're able to hear it, and it might also be that it's hard to hear through your phone. Oh, there it is. Yep, that works.
Okay, let me start it over. I'm sorry. I can't get it. Popping up something else.
Hold on one second. We're getting some music as well.
Okay, let's try that.
I like to write about my feelings and about political problems in the world and things that I think that we as a human race and as a generation could do better on.
Now I understand poetry, so it's like I do it. I'm not going to break it because maybe other people need it, and I want to let them know they are not alone. I want to make the world different. So if I do this, maybe other people are going to know that they are not alone, they are not feeling bad too. There are other people feeling the same pain.
It's given me a good atmosphere and it's helping me with my anger issues personally. It's just basically giving me a better outlook on, hey, not everything is as bad as it seems, but there is still bad in the world. So it's just basically giving me a better smile than I had before.
We are the Riders of Orion.
Okay, guys, so to finish up, I just want to say thank you. I was really blessed and humbled to be renewed for the 2021 year, and I hope to continue to build on our successes. Personally, my children will be doing remote learning, and as a nurse, I foresee remote learning by end of fall. So keeping this in mind, I'm going to post videos that mimic in-class instruction. And I'm also creating a journal with prompts so that I can mail them out to the participants and they can watch the videos and then have like a step-by-step way to compose a poem in a really fun way. I hope to have those journals completed and published by September, and the funds that you provided will allow me to do that. So thank you very much.
Any questions for Ashanti? And Ashanti, you can stop screen sharing and then we'll see your face more.
I don't know how to make it come back.
Oh, go to the top of your screen.
Okay.
Yep, there you go. You got it. Any questions for Ashanti, folks? I see two. Let's go with Angela and then Frank.
So impressive. Thank you so much for sharing that, Ashanti, and for the program. So are the participants, and I think 15 out of 30 is a very good number still. So yeah, I think you should feel proud about that. So are the same participants continuing, or do you intend to recruit and get more for different ones?
I always continue recruiting. The first three girls were two were in 6th grade and one was in 7th grade. And then one transitioned to 8th grade and she's now going to high school. And so one of the ideas I'm playing with is integrating it into Urbana High School. Like I said, that really depends on how COVID works out, but this may actually work in my favor because if it stays virtual, it may be an easier way to get into creative art classes and creative arting workshops. So by October, once the journal is published, I'd like to go to Urbana High School and see if I can get that as well. And then Ashley said she was interested in serving as a mentor and in Urbana in high school. My other two girls will be in 8th grade now. I actually have a 5th grader and then I'll have a 7th grader. So it's going to be a little bit difficult for me to recruit this year because of the blended learning environment. So I'm really hoping to get the word of mouth out there through Facebook and letting people know, hey, if you got a teen and adolescent girl, please let them join. Although it's specifically tailored for girls of color, it is not only girls of color who attend. And then amongst our girls of color, it's not a homogenous thing, unlike what Biden believes. We've had Afro-Latinas, we've had Congolese young ladies in there, we've had Latinas in there, and we've had white girls in there as well. It's not necessarily about the color, it's about how you view yourself, your femininity, and then we tie it back into how does being a woman of color make your experience that much different compared to others your age who have different experiences. So, yeah.
I love that. Thank you. All from an African perspective, though. All those girls are learning from African knowledge perspectives. Thank you so much.
Frank?
I just wanted to say that sounds like a wonderful program, and it sounds very exciting having an opportunity to have it branch out into the high school. And
Yeah.
I could see a way of this continuing just to keep growing, and would love for us to keep supporting this.
Thank you.
Just hearing it in the words of the young ladies too, I think was, it was very moving.
And you know, many of them struggle with social anxiety. I tell them, you know, we're not just going to sit here and write poetry. You actually have to perform it. And so a big part of our lessons is teaching them how to express themselves. And slam poetry was a great vehicle because you don't have to speak proper English. One of our participants, Ashley, is from Puerto Rico, and she was like, my English is very broken. I can write in Spanish. And I said, yes, you can write in Spanish, but if you want to work on your public speaking, you need to commit to doing it in English or Spanish because you're getting on the stage. So it really helped them to overcome their social anxieties and their fears about, you know, difficult things, difficult stressors, and talking to adults.
And I just want to add to that. I mean, the Art Now episode that she featured here, this was a wonderful experience to film. I want to thank Jason also for being a part of filming that and UPTV. I also wanted to make a comment that I think actually would be great advice for Ashanti and Ralph. And both of our grantees today were funded to continue this next year. I'm really excited about the directions of those projects. They've heard this a bunch from me, but I want to keep encouraging cross collaboration between and among grantees. And another project that I really want to encourage you all to consider as a recruitment tool is one of the projects that we funded is a continuation of another project from last year, and it was building upon basically the teen art gallery of the Urbana Free Library that we funded last year has now really cemented their relationship with the Fab Lab. The Fab Lab is the one who applied this year most heavily on the grant as like contact folks, but the Fab Lab at the University of Illinois has really continued to build with the Urbana Free Library teen librarians a lot of I wouldn't even say programs for teens, but really a space where teens can come and define their own programming. And one thing that they're trying to head up is the creation of a teen art council that is going to do just that. And I also want to encourage both Ralph and Ashanti, come to the upcoming teen artists info session that we're hosting through my program, because we're inviting lots of teens to come out to that. That'll be a great place for us to talk about upcoming opportunities for teens, and it would be a great place for both Ralph and Ashanti, you both, to recruit. And I would encourage you also to get in touch with, it's going to be, I believe, Sarah and Joel Spencer and Jordan Kale, who are the teen librarians at the Urbana Free Library. I'm happy to put you in touch with them. But those are great contacts for you to get also perhaps involved with the Teen Art Council and see that as another way to reach teens and to also have teens tell you what they want to see in their program, right? I think is where we want to head. So
is it online?
I don't believe they have an online presence yet, but I'm sure we're going to see that develop. So they're another project that's going to be funded this year. So it's really emergent.
Oh, I meant would the meetings be online? I lost all my jobs, so I don't live in town anymore. So
yes, all the meetings I believe right now are held remotely. I will say the teen Art Council is also growing out of a very concrete relationship now that the Fab Lab and the library have with Urbana Neighborhood Connection Center. So like the teen programming that's happening at UNCC is going to, they're zooming in from UNCC, but it'll be like a group of teens. And we recently had our teen poetry workshop I mentioned in my staff report. We had 15 of those teens attended from Urbana Neighborhood Connection Center. Directly. So that's another, they've got a really strong relationship with Urbana Neighborhood Connection Center as an organization, serving predominantly teens of color. And I think it would be really fantastic recruitment to also work with them and with me on these teen listening sessions we're doing and the Teen Art Council. So it'll be good. That's my advice to you all. And of course, I will always continue to send you suggestions of different folks to collaborate with and such. I don't think there's any further questions. So we can probably move on to the next agenda item, but let's give Shanti a round of applause. Thank you so much for your work, both of you. Now, Pat, the next item on the agenda was really going to, was largely covered in our staff report. So I don't think I need to say much more. I was really just wanting to make sure I emphasize that we're doing cold calling and really trying to get information out in response to COVID-19. And I'll keep you all informed of how our programs shift and change and need adaptation of some kind.
Further business? Rachel?
I don't believe so at this time.
Okay, well, in that case, since we have no further business on the agenda, we can adjourn. So that'll be it for today. Thanks everybody for coming.